When it comes to enlarging the transfer port in your action block for your regulator fitting project, the process and steps are exactly the same as what you've already seen in enlarging the transfer port within the barrel. The only thing with the action is there's often the added complication of extra mechanisms built within it, or your action block may be in 2 or 3 pieces that you need to enlarge separately. Now, best practice is obviously to take it all to pieces, do the work, clean it all and fit it back together again. However, if you've recently serviced your gun and you don't really wish to do all that, then as long as you mask up the rest of the workpiece carefully so as not to get any swarf or debris inside the rest of the action, and you take great care, then this can be achieved. Now, a couple of simple tips are, where you've removed any screws from the action to take it to pieces, you don't want any little bits of swarf going into them, and so either get new screws or the screws that you've taken out and simply block those holes up, and that keeps them nice and clean. Cover the rest of the block in cellophane and pull it tight so as nothing can get inside there. Where you've removed the outlet valve mechanism, so as you know when you've drilled through and you don't drill right the way through onto the other side of the transfer port unit inside, then again, like with the barrel, you can use a cotton swab and thin it down to your needs and then push and work that in, and then that will stop any dirt or swarf getting through into the hammer unit. And so you can do that. You can also use such things as blue tack, white tack to put into spaces. Now, one of the main things in your arsenal when doing this job to keep the job clean and tidy is simply this. That's right, probably one of the best weapons in your arsenal to keep it clean is to have a friend or relative ready with a vacuum cleaner with a small nozzle. And then whilst you're drilling the hole, they can use a small nozzle or a small piece of plastic pipe that you've attached so you can get into nooks and crannies to suck the swarf up as it comes off of the drill bit. And then you can also give it a good vacuuming round before you take off the rest of the protective covering. So here's one, as it were, that I prepared earlier. So for this, cellophane wrap round, some masking tape also to protect it, some blue tack tucked into the hole so as the only orifice to clean out is where the barrel fits. Put some screws in the existing holes so as to keep those threads nice and clean, and the cotton swab through the valve stem hole so as to stop any dirt passing through into the hammer unit and trigger unit. So you've had that, you've done as we've already covered in the previous video and inserted a steel rod or pin to make sure that your action block or your circular action is square to the drill, and that you've now carefully and cleanly drilled out the transfer port. The next thing to do is very simple, and that's just to make sure that it's nice and clean of any of the major dirt and swarf. You can do this simply. Obviously, one simple thing, don't work on it this way because gravity will take any dirt and dust backwards and it's more liable to go somewhere it shouldn't. So try and, for as much as you can, keep the action the other way up. You can dust off little bits of swarf with a paintbrush or similar, or if you've got a compressor with an air gun that goes whoosh, blast it off, and the same up inside the hole. You can get as much of the swarf out as possible. But if you've been using the tip with the vacuum cleaner, there shouldn't be much to worry about. Also, you can obviously use the brush and the vacuum cleaner in combination together, and that should leave the job nice and clean. And then, as like with the barrel previously, once you've done that, It's a simple case of using your needle files, or similarly a tool that you've made up. So here we have again a simple wooden dowel with a slot with the wet and dry on it, and then to clean the burr out from inside where the barrel fits, you can simply insert that and work it back and forth and clean off the burr. So that's quite a simple process. So once you've done the work on the top and where the barrel fits and made sure that's nice and clean, then you can remove the tape and get the vacuum cleaner and suck around in here as you pull the cotton swab out, and that should mean that this is nice and clean. And then to get any other little bits out that might be in there, you can always use a very small child's toothbrush or a small bottleneck or barrel brush just to run round and wipe it round as well with a wad of tissue. You could roll some tissue up and put in there just to make sure that it's nice and clean. And then, like where the barrel fits, simply use a small needle file just to take the little burr off where the transfer port, where the bigger drills come through, and left a little burr on the inside of the transfer port hole. And that, quite simply, is how to make a good job of enlarging your transfer port when you're running your regulator at either a very low or very high pressure for various projects.